What up, you guys? It's Blackwing 2040. Welcome back to the Power Rangers Marathon. Today's review is, of course, going to be Power Rangers Mystic Force. Now, oh man, Mystic Force isn't that great of a season. Some words I can describe it is underutilization. I could say inconsistent as well. The reason why I can say that is because mainly it falls apart with the story and the characters. Mainly the Rangers. The main five, of course. But I can say it does have a fair share of raw moments, but it does have a fair share of inconsistency with the storytelling. And I guess it could have dived deeper on some things. It should have. It really should have dived deeper on some things. But with all that being said, let's get on with this review, and let's start off with the suits. The suits, of course, I thought these were really some great looking suits. It's Power Rangers with capes, if it's what, I mean, the first time I saw these suits, I thought it was like, wow, Power Rangers with capes, those are some really cool looking suits. Especially with the helmet design of how, of their specific, mythical creature that they're representing and everything. I thought that was pretty cool. And another factor I would also like to, give praise to, the fact that these Rangers turn into their Zords. They're the Zords themselves. I find that fantastic. Them becoming the Mystic Titans and everything. That is just wicked cool. Really cool. Alright, so now on to the story. So basically the story of this season is an army from the underworld has attacked, the mystical realm, and it took the effort of one wizard named Leonbo using all of his power to seal up the underworld army and prevent them from escaping to the human world. Then years later in the present day, the underworld army decides to re-arise and decide to attack the human world again, and of course the sorceress Udonna has to find new wizards to become, the Power Rangers Mystic Force to defend the Earth from these evil creatures. So our Rangers this season are Nick, Chip, Vida, Xander, and Madison. And that's basically the whole spiel of the season. They become wizards. Of course, in order for them to get their powers, they have to believe in magic. And since, hence the name Mystic Force, magic is basically the eccentric theme of the show. Well, main focal theme. Sorry, words came out the wrong way. The story, this story does not get a chance to breathe. What I mean, it doesn't get a chance to breathe. It doesn't give a chance to just cool down just for a little bit, because this season only has 32 episodes. The episode count had to drop a little bit again. And once one arc ended, they jump right on to another arc. And that arc, it's just nothing got a chance to breathe. There was the characters, I wouldn't even say there was barely any development. It's just your run of the mill, good versus evil and everything, and that's about it. As far as development goes, certain characters get development, but that's about it. But not even the main five, I can say, get development, and that's a problem. Another thing that bugs me with this story is, why didn't they dive deeper on the history of the Mystic Titans? Because there's a certain point in the show, their Megazord, which is, I could say, one of the coolest Megazords I've ever seen. The wings are definitely the finishing touch on the Megazord. Really cool, by the way. There's a finisher that the Megazord does. It summons the power of the Ancient Titans. Why don't we get an explanation on who the Mystic Titans were? Why, where did they come from? And how they draw their powers from the Mystic Titans? And also, why don't they even explain, the specific elements that the Ranger has? We all know that, Nick has fire, Chip has lightning, Vida has wind, Madison has water, and Xander has, leaf power. Why can't they? I wish they would dive deeper on, why are they chosen for that specific element? That's all I'm saying. And another thing, this season is just too much focus on Nick. Way too much focus. really they set Nick up right from the jump of the show. Really straight up from the jump. From the way he enters into the show and just straight up. I'm just like, huh. I'm surprised I didn't notice that before. The second time I was watching the show. Because in the middle, it starts to become the Nick show. But as rewatching this for the season for a third time, in the beginning, it's the Nick show from the beginning to end. And that's the sad thing. But anyway, let's talk about these characters. Alright, first up is Nick, our Red Ranger. Nick is basically like the stoic loner of the team. He doubts himself a lot. And of course, he's so important that because he's also known as the Light, and his name is Bowen, who is Udonna's missing son, and Liambo. His parents are Udonna and Liambo, because there's a focal point in the story because Liambo gets cursed and becomes Korag. Udonna is wondering whatever happened to her child, and that's about it. That's basically the main focus between those three characters. That's about it. Now for Nick, he seems to always doubt himself a lot in the show. Like really, he doubts himself a lot. He has his moments where he as a team, they do shine together. But Nick solo, no, I don't. I don't see. He's not a bad Red Ranger, but it's just too much is just focused on just him, and that's the problem. You have all this focus on this one character while the other characters are just left in the dust. And if I were to make a comparison to his Sentai counterpart Kai from Magi Ranger, they tried to copy and paste the chosen one aspect of his character, and it didn't help. It really did not help. I didn't like that at all. I really didn't. I mean, he's not a bad Red Ranger, but it's just he doesn't get enough to do. Alright, next character is Xander. Xander is the cool guy with, the cool accent. I would say his defining moment is definitely where he explains to Nick, who is down on his luck, explaining heck, there's a whole lot of moments where the team has to set Nick straight a lot. But Xander has this heart-to-heart moment with Nick, explaining how when he first came to the country, he always got made fun of because of his accent. And then when he first met Chip, Vida, and Madison, they accepted him for who he was. And that's cool. But Xander, he doesn't get much to do. Really, he doesn't get much to do. I mean, he has this cool shtick every time, he runs into a monster or a villain. He always goes with Plan Xander, which is basically him introducing himself, and then he ends up getting kicked in the gut. But of course, this isn't the last we see of Xander, because we're going to see him literally in the next season. Anyway, let's move on to Chip. Chip is a character who I really, really enjoy. I enjoy his personality because he's just so giddy about the fantasy lifestyle of magic, fantasy, witches, potions, and all that stuff. The problem I have with his character development comes after the episode Soul Spectre, where he gets a vortex in his chest, and Dagger, who's the sixth ranger of the team, he promises to, teach Chip to become a knight. So after that episode, the entire show goes by. They forget about oh Chip, did you also want to become a knight? They just totally forget about that. It would have been nice at the end of the season of oh Chip, what do you say we can I wish they continued his knight training like he wanted to. That would have been nice. Really, that would have been nice. But no, they totally forget about that. I mean, I love Chip's personality. I just wish they got to do more with him, but they don't. Alright, next character, Vida. Vida is the Pink Ranger. She's Madison's sister. She's a DJ. She's a rough and tough, hard one. And really, I would say she's kind of like the voice. She's not the voice of reason, but she's definitely the aggressive one. And that's about it. She does know how to, cheer up, Xander from time to time, and also Chip. But another thing I know they were trying to do is in the episode where she got turned into a vampire, and how Chip was, trying to protect her. I feel like they were trying to, ship, make Chip and Vida a couple. But nope, that doesn't even happen. I mean, it would have been nice to see, but it doesn't end up happening at all. And that's basically all Vida does. Really, that's all she does. Alright, next up is Madison. And sadly, Madison is the weakest ranger of the bunch. She doesn't get anything to do. And she's the heart of the team, but she doesn't get anything to do. That's the problem. And she even points this out in an episode where she feels like she has nothing to contribute. She really does have nothing to contribute besides just being, the balance type. That's about it. There's nothing else I can really say about Madison. It hurts that her character didn't get much to do. It really hurts because her Sentai counterpart has this, magical ability of foresight where she can look into a crystal ball and see what's in the future. Madison, of course, they can't really do that. It's, kid show and everything. That's, in the terms, like witchcraft and everything. But still, give Madison something to do. Don't just have her leaving high and dry. Just, come on, do something. But sadly, she doesn't get anything. Alright, next up, Dagger. Dagger is basically the Rangers, you could say, another mentor for the Rangers. He is Lianbo's student. He passes on his tools to the Rangers on what they learn, on what he learned from Lianbo to them. And again, he's a good friend of Udonna, and he's been in a conflict battle with a guy named Kalendor who betrays the Mystics. And I'm gonna get into Kalendor later on. But Dagger is just, I actually do love his suit, though. His suit is like, I feel like his cape is the better cape out of all the Rangers. His suit, really, he has the best suit out of all of them, hands down. But I like his character. He just has this, his role, he's basically the mentor role. Especially I like that for a 6th Ranger, because we don't really have, like, a 6th Ranger in the mentor role. But I still like his aspects of being a mentor, teaching the Rangers and everything. Alright, next up is Udonna. Udonna, at first, I didn't really like Udonna because, she morphs in the first episode, loses her powers, she's powerless for the whole season, but she's still able to grant the Rangers, knowledge and everything about where their powers come from, how to earn new spells and everything. And of course, in the final arc, she goes on a quest to find her husband. So she's not all completely useless, but she does do some things to, help the story move along. And of course, she's Nick's mother. And I just wish, besides her, her quest, looking to see if her husband is alive and her son is alive. It's just, and of course the revelation that Nick is her son. It was very, very predictable. Very predictable, if I might say. But Udonna's, she's not a bad mentor, and not a bad mentor ranger either. So she's still pretty cool. Alright, last ranger is Lianbo. Lianbo, of course, is the Night Wolf Korag. He was cursed for pretty much majority of the season, and he's a main focal point of the story. He's just like, he's that one character that everybody knows. It's like, you say his name, everybody kind of, like, the villains kind of quiver in fear. But, Lianbo is so important to the story because he's the one that sealed the Master up in the first place. He gets cursed. He's battling the Rangers. His memory starts, come back to him, and he realizes, like, oh my gosh, I've been fighting my son and his friends, and I almost killed my wife. I was like, it's just wow, basically. But other than that, that's basically, Lianbo's basically Nick's father, and he doesn't really do much of anything. I'd just say, I feel like he has a lot more cool moments when he's Korag than he is Lianbo. That's about it. Alright, now on to allies. First ally is Claire. Claire is Udonna's niece, sorcerer in training. She's, you could say she's like the bumbling character, but she does have a very important role in the story because her mother, Niella, it was known as the Gatekeeper, who was also Udonna's sister. Now, Niella, sacrificed herself by using her entire life force to seal the gate. And when the forces of evil were searching for Claire because she is the successor to her mother, they tried to use her powers against her and almost drain her of her life force. But I will admit, the Gatekeeper episode is Claire's shining moment. And of course, in the final arc of the show where she helps out Udonna to find Lianbo, she is able to hold her own in a fight. So she's not completely useless. But she does have her funny moments. And I like Claire. She's really great. And of course, at the end of the show, she does end up becoming a full-on sorceress. And that's the end of her story. Alright, next ally is Phineas. Phineas is important because to the story, he's the one that found Nick as a baby and brought him to the human world. So in a way, Phineas kind of knew Nick for a while. And I guess he couldn't really tell him that in the beginning of the show. Of course, that kind of breaks the pacing of the story and everything, I know. But he's a good ally to the Rangers. He's a troblin, meaning he's a troll and a goblin. And he's always able to, give the Rangers specific advice on everything, help them out along the way, along their quests. And he's a good ally to the Rangers. Alright, next is Toby. I don't even know why I'm talking about Toby because he's basically the boss for the Rangers at their job at the Rockporium. And, every time the Rangers leave to go save the city, he always wonders, why do they always leave? But when the Rangers reveal to him that, they're the Power Rangers, he accepts it. And I like how he just immediately just accepts it that, they're putting their lives out on the line to protect the city for all that they do. And just, it's Toby is Toby. That's basically. And, of course, I could say he's also for comedic relief purposes from time to time. Alright, next ally is Lily. Lily is Necroly's daughter, and I would say in the beginning, she starts off as very evil and as a spy to, see what the Rangers are up to and then report back to her mother to tell, the Rangers are doing this and this and this and this. But her turning point comes where she decides to help, the Rangers out, but the Rangers don't accept her help at all because, Necroly's her mother, and, that's a hard trust issue and everything. And so when she tries to prove herself when she was helping Claire and Phineas rescue Udonna, the Rangers accept Lily as their friend and as an ally. So that's good that she decides, break away from her mother's path. Kind of like, we all make our own destiny, kind of like from Time Force. Alright, next character is Genji. Genji is a cat genie who lives he was cursed from opening, cursed treasure, and now he's been turned into a genie. And his origin was basically how he was a popular cat in his kingdom, and the king of that kingdom was so jealous of Genji that he told all his servants that, Genji was a bad person. So the fact that Genji had to deal with so much, so much hate for himself that Dagger was like his only friend, that's pretty much what Genji is. And Genji's a funny side character from time to time. And of course, the only aspect of Genji is that he lives in a lamp, and the laser lamp is Daggeron's main weapon. And of course, he has his moments where he uses, his Genji shining attack, where Daggeron fires Genji and, does like a few scratches, and he goes back into his lamp. That's basically what Genji does. Alright, next character is the Snow Prince, who is basically Daggeron's teacher who taught him everything, and also the herald of the first mystics. The thing about the Snow Prince is that's That's all he is. They don't really do much with this. He shows up very, close to the end of the show, and he kind of appears in an episode and tells Dagger to, for a day, you need to become the student, and Nick becomes your teacher. Like, the roles switch. But other than that, he doesn't really do much besides you. Like I said, he's just an ally to the Rangers. Now, I was gonna bring up the Mystic Mother, and apparently, this blew over my head many times. Well, the first time I watched Mystic Force, but then when I did my research and said that the Mystic Mother is actually Rita, I was like, how? And then, it's because the actress who played the Mystic Mother is the Sentai actress that played Bandora in Zoo Rangers, so they figured, like, oh, so, same actress. Let's just go on and say, that's Rita. I know I find out that's pretty much a cheap cop-out, but I'll allow it. Alright, now on to villains. The first villain is Mordecai. He was the villain in the first arc of the show. He's a warrior whose main goal, he wants to get out of the pit. And he does get out once, but the Rangers send him back in, and then during the Gatekeeper episodes, Korag uses Claire's power to release Mordecai, and he goes out on a full rampage, destroying the surface world. But of course, the Rangers defeat him in the end. And he's only around for just 12 episodes. That's all it is. Because this season does the villain rotation, which I kind of like. I kind of like that. Alright, the next villain is Imperius, aka Kalendor. Now, Kalendor was a member of the Mystic Warriors until he betrayed them because he was seeking power, and he gained that power through dark magic. And when he was fighting Dagger back when they were, during the Great War, the Great Battle, they both got cursed, and Kalendor turned into a mummy, and that's how he became Imperius. Now, Imperius, he has his own agenda. Like, he wanted to destroy the Master, but Korag was onto him and be like, yo, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything. You're trying to destroy the Master. I'm like, no. I'm with you guys. I'm really, to the very end. But of course, I could say his best plan was, the Dark Wish episode where he had the evil barbarians kidnap Genji, and he made Genji, he wished that the Power Rangers would never exist, and that's pretty much the best plan that he had. And I would say he's my favorite villain of the show. He's like a villain that you love to hate, and that's the good thing about Imperius. Next are the 10 Terrors. So these are the villains that show up in the final arc of the show. Excuse me. And we have Sculpin, you have Black Lance, Matumbo, Hecatoid, Gekor, Serpentina, Megahorn, Itasis, and I believe I said them all. I said them all. Cause it's only 10 of them, and I forgot about Magma and Oculus. Sorry, I forgot some. So yeah, they're like giants, and their main goal is to give divine punishment to the surface world. And out of these terrors, 2 of them reform to the good side, while the other 8 become evil. Get destroyed. Because Itasis is one of the terrors that's actually who wants to seek knowledge instead of seek power. She is basically, she does end up fighting the Rangers, but she does end up reverting to the good side. And Matumbo is a terror who doesn't really want to fight for power. And Vida kind of, helped him out, becoming the good side, reverting to the good side and everything. But one thing I just never understood was Matumbo's body became like, a host for the Master. And when Matumbo was destroyed, the Master kind of, teared his body to shreds and everything. And then at the end of Mystic Force, he's still alive. I'm like, didn't your body just get destroyed? How are you still here? But of course, you don't need to explain it. Now, next the final villain, Optimus the Master. Of course, he's known as the Master, but on Ranger Wiki, he's called Optimus. I wish they actually gave him a name instead of just calling him the Master. His villain design is very, very, very beautiful. Terrifying as well. Like those big shoulders, that big head, that is what you call a final villain. Of course, I would say he kind of gets easily defeated just by, the Rangers basically fire all their good magic into him, and he basically, absorbs it all, but it comes so much that he can't absorb so much that he explodes. So again, that's kind of a cop-out of a way to destroy a final baddie. But design-wise, he's terrifying and very formidable. And the last villain to talk about is Necroly. Necroly is the queen of the vampires, Lily's mother. She's basically a snitch. Like anytime someone's doing something different, she will always go behind their backs and be like, "Hey, so and so is doing this." But she does, of course, reform at the end of the show, where she sacrifices her vampire form to save Leonbo and Dagger, and she becomes fully human again, and decides to lead the vampire lifestyle away. So yeah, now for my rating for the show, Mystic Force, it has its raw moments, but it's mostly mid. It's a mid season. If the season had 10 more episodes, it would definitely probably be a full-on raw season. And if they actually gave the characters more stuff to do, it probably could have even been a GOAT season. But then again, it's a mid-season. The characters have little to do. It's just a basic monster shows up, fight the monster. You guys know the formula. That's basically what happens. Anyway, in the comment section below, what did you like about Power Rangers Mystic Force? What was your favorite character? What was your favorite episode? And just what else? If there was one thing that you could change about Mystic Force, what would you change? So let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And stay tuned for my next review, which is going to be Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. That's going to be another hard season to watch, because I can see why people really, really dislike Overdrive. But until then, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden, and may the power protect you.